our speaker, Dr. Rossi. I've known Dr. Rossi since I was about this high, and when I was about this high and was going to classes and stuff with my parents, as those of us who are children of chiropractors do, is when I first got exposed to him. And when I came back when I was this high, and I was in the military, and would come back for DEs because on belief there's nothing better being in the military than coming back to people who love what you love. My favorite speaker to hear was always Dr. Rossi. He is a Palmer graduate. He is 1976. He has a phenomenal practice, a phenomenal belief system. He teaches for the ICPA on children and pediatrics in chiropractic. His son was one of my classmates, and with that, I'm going to quit speaking and introduce one of my favorite speakers, so I hope you all enjoy Dr. Rossi. So.
Thank you. I was saying before, this feels like old home week, with Lori and Lou here, and Barbara here, and Claire, and all these people, and David, and everybody feels like real nice to be here with everybody who are my friends and people I love, and Brian and everybody else. Okay. When I was coming up and thinking about what I should talk about, or, and usually what I do is like let it go, and whatever comes with it. But I did want to start off with a story for you first. And by the way, just to let you know, after we're done tonight, David Shiner has some of his books, if you haven't seen Chiropractic Revealed. Okay? It's an excellent, excellent book. Okay? He has some of his books here. We'll be doing some book signing for those people who want to get that, and that'll be neat. And then I'll talk about some other stuff we have here too for you for later. In June, I went to Australia, and I was teaching in Sydney, in Australia. We had the ICPA was doing a program there. Now, I didn't know what to expect in Australia. When I got there, I had a class of 50 chiropractors who were so dedicated and so strong with chiropractic. I was absolutely thrilled to be part of that. They were great. So if we have any doubts about the quality of chiropractic coming from there, if this was a sample of it, they were wonderful, okay? So let me tell you a little story about what happened. It was kind of funny. When I do my program, and some of you have been in my program, in the seminar, on the Saturday I teach for 8 hours, okay? That's a long day. I'm standing up, talking, teaching the whole day, right? I have this guy in the class who is the local member of the chiropractic board. In Australia, each state has one member, and they form the National Board of Chiropractic there, okay? And the local president was in the class. And he told me, he said Saturday evening, he said, we'd like to invite you to dinner. All the board members from all the states in Australia are coming over, and they have this dinner, they have this conference, and they have this dinner, and we wanted to invite you to come to the dinner with us. I said, great, okay, that'd be fine. So when we're done, he says, let's go walk to this restaurant. It's not too far, he said, and we'll have the dinner, it'll be great. Well, I guess in Australia, not too far is different than what they say here. We're like 16 to 20 city blocks down there. We're walking, and this guy's walking like, really? I said, oh, he goes, this is so great. He said, I've been sitting all day. I said, yeah, I know, you've been sitting all day, but I've been standing all day, But we made it down there, and I made it huffing and puffing, right? And so they introduced me to this guy, and I don't know his name. I can't remember his name, but he's the past president of the board for Australia, okay? And he specifically wants to sit next to me because he wants to ask me some questions and talk to me. That's great, no problem. So we sit down, and he starts talking about that he's a student of philosophy. And he said, we're not talking about just chiropractic philosophy, I'm a student of philosophy. In other words, he studied Aristotle, Plato, Socrates, all this, okay? Dennis Richards. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, so he starts asking me, he says, I believe in the Socratean method of learning by asking questions, he said. So he starts asking me question after question after question. Now, my dinner is sitting in front of me, and I really do want to eat. I'm tired and stuff like this, and he's asking me questions, so I answer as best I can. He asks me another question. I answer as best I can, right? He's going on and on. Understand you can only keep an Italian away from his food only so long. Right? Now, I'm Italian. So I said, I love the questions, I love talking to him, and he's real, I can tell he's a real thinker, right? I said, but I gotta shut him up somehow, right? So I turned to him, and I said, I'll tell you what. I said, let me ask you a question. You think about it, right? Okay, I said, if universal intelligence is perfect, why do we have subluxations? Okay? So the guy goes, that's a good question. Can you rephrase that? No. I said, I can't rephrase it. It's just that clear. Okay, so I basically shut him up for a while. So I'm eating. Now that I can, getting the food down. And this guy's thinking and thinking and thinking. And finally, he gives me these answers, limitation of matter, this, all this kind of stuff. And so he said, how do you feel about that? I said, well, for me, it's simple, okay? God gave us subluxations for the same reason he gave us irritant to the oyster. Okay? God gave us subluxations for the same reason he gave an irritant to the oyster. What does the oyster make from an irritant? A pearl. Something more beautiful that comes and gets created from this irritant. Okay? That's the way I view it. He sits there and he goes, oh my God, that's brilliant. And I lose him for the rest of the meal now, okay? Because he's in pondering land, okay? Make a long story short. At the end of the meal, he comes up to me and he said, can I talk to you in private for a second? I said, sure. And he said to me this. He said, I've lost my chiropractic passion. I've lost my desire and thrill in chiropractic. What can I do to get it back? And he's asking me, just out of the blue with this, right? After talking and stuff. So I looked at him and I said, that's easy. What do you mean it's easy? I said, get out of your head and get into your heart. Get out of your head and get into your heart. It was obvious. Any one of you guys sitting there could tell this guy was totally into his head. This and that, this kind of stuff. Get out of your head, get into your heart. And the man started to cry. And he started to say, that's it. That's it. Okay? We all go through this. We all do it. I do it all the time. I find myself getting into my head. You start analyzing things, analyzing this, analyzing that. Get out of